First up, I'm going to bring up Pastor Nick Barnett and Dwayne Harmon from the House of Hope Church. Bring them up and allow them to talk about some of the work they're doing out there in assisting us on this dais and the Cincinnati Police Department in helping to make Cincinnati safe. Pastor Nick, thank you. Mr. Harmon, thank you very much. About 10 to 15 minutes, the privilege of the floor, but you are appreciated and thank you for being here.
Amen. To the Vice Mayor, to Scotty and the rest of the council members, we just thank you for the opportunity to let us speak.
Once again, I'd like to echo what my pastor, Nick Burnett, from the community that we've grown up in, that people have seen us like change our lives to help the community. I'm coming here to say one thing this morning, and I scrambled on it. But that incident that happened with the kid in the West End, Scotty, I want you to know that it was trauma 3 times in my house. Starting with my wife, who taught that kid in the 4th grade, and have him to leave and come back to CCPA, make her basketball team, talk about playing on that team, and not to mention that he's the best friend of my grandson. So trauma went from my wife, through me, through my grandson. Trauma is continuing through all of the kids in the community. Scotty, when I spoke with you and I prayed with my pastor about this, I am tired of us. When I say us, I'm taking the responsibility too of putting Band-Aids on wounds. Let me say that again, putting Band-Aid on wounds. We're smart enough. We know what's going on in this city. All I'm asking that, please utilize the people who are out here on the grounds every day. It's going to take a complete collaboration of the city, of the ministers, of the kids, of the grandparents to change this thing. And Scotty, as I spoke with you, when we sit down and talk, this is the end, man. When we talking about an 11-year-old kid who gets shot down, and not to mention to you, and I'm sharing this because this is personal, my wife watched that area for 2-3 weeks, and the day that that incident happened, she sent my grandson home by just her not feeling comfortable about what was going on in the community. By the grace of God, my grandson wasn't there. But it still affected me because that was a young man that I loved as much as I loved my grandson. So I'm here to say, I'm in pain right now. I'm in total pain. And Scotty Johnson, you understand, because this has just not started with you and I. This started years ago when I sit outside Taft High School and asked you, what are we going to do about this? I'm asking again, what are we going to do about this? And I know it's not going to happen overnight. And when I leave out of here, I'm going back out here in the jungle in this war, hoping that there's a resolution by the grace of God that can help us solve some of these problems. I want to thank you all because that's something. When I walk in this community, I carry the pride of this community. I care about these kids, and I'm tired of people just pushing it up under the door. Kids are dying. Trauma's caused. Let's put some arms around these kids. Let's not think that this is over with. Those kids are still walking into school, talking about that funeral. Didn't know when they was talking about wearing black and red what that was. I'm just keeping it real with y'all this morning. And I do appreciate the council, my pastor, a lot of people in here I see, school resource officers, beautiful person over here, We got the right people in this city to get this done. Let's not lose the effort. Thank you.
Amen. And I believe also not only that the family members have the trauma, but the people who is involved with our community have trauma. And I think sometimes the city of Cincinnati, even though you all as leaders do a good job most of the time, a lot of times y'all miss it because y'all ain't going to the valuable people who's been there from day one. And so how in the world that I could come ask somebody who don't know Cincinnati to have a plan for Cincinnati and you all don't use you all community? I have preached not dozens but hundreds of funerals, literally hundreds. And the trauma don't just start or stop after the benediction of a funeral of a young man, a young woman who died through the hands of gun violence. But our church, House of Hope Fellowship Church, they called us afterwards because mama's still taking another month off of work and we have to pay their rent, or we will pay their rent. We will pay their gas and like that's real ministry. And I think most of the times folks don't understand the process after they lost a child. The process, the trauma after the phone call stopped. The trauma after the preacher give the benediction and seeing everybody home. My goodness, they eat chicken. After the chicken is gone, the trauma is still there. And we, House of Hope, we hold a big burden, not just in our community, but in this city. Because I preach funerals all over this city, multitudes of churches, but we need help. We need resources. Some people don't know what resources is. We need money. We need help. And if you can help, love is not what you say, love is what you do. I teach our folks all the time, we can't say we the church of the open door if we don't help people, if we don't hug somebody who need a hug, if we don't encourage somebody who need to be encouraged. So I think just as a leader, not just in Cincinnati, but around this country, I think we can do better with handing the resources to the people who's doing the real work, period. There ain't no long, drawn-out story. If you want to know somebody's background, it is a witness of what somebody else do. We got enough programs, we got enough people who do real work in this city so we can help the moms, the dads, the aunties, the grandmas to process the trauma that they got to live with for the rest of their life, because it's hard out here. And for those who are not in our community, whether it's in Bond Hill, whether it's in the West End, we need help. And I think help can come from you. God bless you, and I pray you have an excellent day. Any questions?
Let me say this. I greatly appreciate you both. I greatly appreciate the heartfelt conversation and the message that you both delivered here today. I think sometimes the process of the heart gets overlooked sometimes, and things get dressed up nice and pretty, but the heart and the grassroots work, the ground level work, where people out there every day are getting it done. That's why I wanted to make sure you were here today. No fluff, none of those other things. The reality of what happens when you talk about trauma after what happened. Yes, we want to get into the prevention mode, no doubt, but we got to be willing to address the after effects of what goes on. Vice Mayor.
I'd like to echo those sentiments. I just want to thank you all. You know, I know you all are out there all the time. You know, sometimes when there's a murder, a shooting, and you know, we might say, you know, where's the mom? You know, where are the parents? And they'll say, oh, well, they're down the street talking to Pastor Barnett. So you're out there all the time, reaching out, walking the streets, you know, talking to people in trauma, and everybody doesn't do what you all do. You know, everybody's not out there on the street, really, you know, at the most difficult time. And even afterwards, after you said, you know, when the chicken's gone and you know, the service is over, you know, there's a lot left to do. And so thank you for that work. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. God bless you.
Good. Mr. Jeffries.
Yeah, just one add to that. Thank you as well. But I think just the need, it's not just a Cincinnati thing in our society. Like when there's a traumatic event, people run to it immediately, right? And maybe the first few weeks, but then they forget about it. Mm-hmm. And I think the need for continued help, mental health in particular, for people to deal with that trauma 6 months, a year later, is just as real as right after. And we forget about it. And so I think we need to just be mindful of that, and especially with our kids and in school. And I think we need to do a better job as a city of tackling it with CPS. We're a very siloed city. Well, CPS does their thing and the city does their thing, and no, we need to do it in partnership, especially when it comes to our kids and the impact of trauma on our kids in partnership with the schools. So thank you again for highlighting that part of it as well.
Can I just say one thing, that I know parents who have died after their child have got gunned down by worry. You know, they had heart attacks. They weren't taking care of themselves. And so they died. And my question to them, or my comfort to them, you have 2 other kids that you need to take care of, but they just can't let it go when somebody take something, somebody snatch their heart from them. This is real ministry. This is what we have to deal with after the shooting, after the murder. And so I know parents have actually died that after I have preached their son's funeral, 6 months later, 2 years later, I got to preach their mom's funeral because she had a heart attack, because blood pressure was up too high, because she was having nightmares, she committed suicide. That's the after effect of trauma that unfortunately goes untraced and unknown. So God bless you again just for listening.
Thanks a lot. We will be in touch for sure. We appreciate you. Thanks a million.